I guess the 20-year theme is a theme, because about 20 years ago, my husband and I moved to Lancaster, and it was kind of our first grown-up life. We had finally finished our training, and we had real jobs. And at that point, we had 4 children, and my youngest child was out of diapers, so we had children who were moving around. We had our first real house and a nice backyard. So it made sense that it was time to get a dog. That was the next step of adulthood. And so we had just come from our perfect Maine vacation, which we went every year, and the kids had all decided that we had the perfect name for our perfect future dog, and it was going to be based on where we went to Maine, so how cute is Acadia, and we'd call her Katie. And so we went home and we found a lovely lab litter locally, and the kids picked out the perfect puppy. She wasn't too wild, she wasn't too quiet, and we brought her home, and she was the perfect puppy. Easy to train, loved the kids, would follow me around, sleep by my side. She was perfect. And so, obviously, since I've had 6 children, I like chaos. Why have one perfect dog when you can have more than one perfect dog? So a year later, I saw that Katie's mother was expecting another litter, and so I kind of got the idea that maybe we'd get a second perfect dog. And I was dumb enough to mention it to my mom, and as any adult child is, I didn't want to listen to her advice, she said, it's a terrible idea. You know, a second dog will never listen to you the same way. They will only want to hang out with the other dog you have. It will never be the same. And she had to be wrong. So my kids went down, we went back and saw another perfect litter, and we didn't get one that was too quiet or too outgoing. We got the perfect one, and her name was Genevieve. And I don't know what I was thinking, because it ends up my mother was really, really right about this one. So what ended up, I thought she was going to be a perfect dog, but she was actually a Tasmanian devil. And the first time I knew that she was really going to be trouble, my son, who was then turned 3, came home from school on his birthday, had a beautiful little crown on, the class had made him, and Mitchell was super excited about it, and Genevieve came out of nowhere, knocked him over, took the crown, and shredded it into a million pieces on the floor. And he was pretty devastated, and I was pretty sure I needed some help. So we went ahead and made some appointments with, the top dog trainer in our area, and Genevieve really had her fooled. Like, we went to our classes, and Genevieve was so food motivated that anything that they asked, she did right away and made me look like a fool. But what are you going to do? I kind of raised my dogs the same way I raised my children, which is a little on the feral side. So I decided to let Jenny be who Jenny was. So as time goes on, you realize that Jenny has 2 main triggers. The first is strangely male. The first time I realized that we had a male issue was when my husband was expecting a package, an envelope with a very important data, when we didn't used to be able to just email people data, and it was slides that he was going to use in a presentation, and they were supposed to come on Monday, and he was supposed to leave time Friday, and Wednesday he still had no package, so he asked me, go check and see if they're in the bushes or something. And so I went out and looked around the yard, and all I could find was a big purple F and a big orange E, and then the middle of a very chewed up CD-ROM. And so then I knew I had a problem. And then a few weeks later, I came home with the kids, and an American Girl box was scattered all over our lawn with the clothes that were supposed to be for the girls' Christmas presents shredded all over our yard. So I thought, I'm gonna teach her. She's gonna be trained. So I made a box, and I sprayed it thickly with pepper spray, and I put it on the front step, and then I, put her out the back and let it 5 or 10 minutes go by, and I looked out front, and my pepper spray box was shredded all over the yard. So that didn't work. So then I said, well, I'm going to outsmart her, and I'm going to get a box. And we're going to put the packages in the box. So my mail people in the UPS knew that when they delivered packages to the Kager's house, they would have to put it in the box. Well, that ended that game, but Jenny then realized that she could go on the truck. And the game became sneaking on the truck and stealing packages that didn't belong to us off the truck. So, sometimes we'd catch her, and other times I would very embarrassingly find chewed up packages that belonged to other people in my backyard and try to sort out where they belonged and how to let these people know that I would compensate them for whatever Genevieve decided to chew up that time. The ultimate, what was I thinking, was after a big snowstorm, I was sitting in my front den, and we had snowbanks around where they had plowed the driveway, and my mail person came up the road, dropped off a package in the box, and out of the corner of my eye, I see him pull away, and out of the corner of my eye, my mouth dropped as I see Jenny surfing on the top of the mail truck. She had leapt onto the vehicle as it was going down the driveway, and he was obviously heard something on the roof and was very skitterish, and he stopped, and she jumped off, and that was, what was I thinking? Why? Why is this dog this way? The other trigger for her, which makes much more sense than the male trigger, is food. Now, counter surfing, a lot of dogs do, and she would jump on counters and eat things, but she would eat a lot of things. She ate children's cell phones. She ate rat poisoning. She would jump into cars and steal people's groceries as they drop kids off and pick kids up. And, the first time it happened, I felt badly. The second time it happened to you, what were you thinking, coming to my house with food? I mean, that's so dumb. So time goes on, and both dogs pass away, and I realize as I'm saying goodbye to her that she was the perfect dog, and she did the best she could, and we adored her. But now, 10 plus years has gone by, and I meet people in the grocery store, and my kids are well grown now, and we talk about our kids, but always the stories come back. Remember the time that your dog jumped in my car and got her head stuck in a pumpkin of candy? And I realized that what I was thinking was sometimes you don't get what you think you need, but you get something much more wonderful with some really great memories, and we will love Jenny forever.